These are the ranks the Space Force needs to go with, and I'm going to tell you why.
Ignition sequence start. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel if you're returning, but if you're brand new, I go by Space Jam Tactical here on YouTube. Currently, I'm enlisted in the United States Space Force, and recently, the United States Space Force released our rank titles for the enlisted. Through E1 to E4 was Specialist 1 through Specialist 4, E5 being then simply Sergeant opposed to Staff Sergeant compared to what the Air Force has been using for their E5. So a lot of people, I've covered this in my last video, a lot of people were a little underwhelmed with this. I said it was a pretty safe choice, and there is possibility this could change in the future. I think playing it safe for this new branch is something that the Space Force has been doing for a little bit. There's nothing wrong with playing it safe. I feel like it would be in the best interest of the Space Force to utilize a rank insignia that pops out more. Something that would really grab the attention of people, because Specialist 1 through Specialist 4, people are seeing that as more of a safe route and not really daring to explore the options. If we choose a rank that catches people's attention to really show them, hey, they're really building their own culture instead of relying on Air Force or Army culture, this would help the active force currently in the Space Force and just kind of give them that morale boost to say, hey, this is actually things that are changing, and we can see that something's going on. So these are concepts that were on Reddit, on the Space Force Reddit, and these are not official. So the Reddit user Stratocruise built up these mock designs of possible Space Force ranks, and I think that out of all the different concepts we've seen of Space Force ranks, I think these ones really pop out and they make sense. And I'm gonna be going over them kind of from my point of view and why I think there's such a great choice for the Space Force to make, or at least use it as a driving factor in making something that's more suitable and a heritage that we're making out of the Space Force, opposed to relying on a heritage from the Army or the Air Force. Alright, so here we're on Reddit, and as you can see, this is the enlisted grade insignia from Stratocruise. And here he says, for absolute clarity, this is a proposal. These are not the official USSF enlisted insignia. Because there was kind of a big thing over some concept designs of a dress uniform made by the Reddit user Aerosef, I believe. And it was pretty interesting because it was like a futuristic looking Starship Troopers dressed grays or whatever he made. And then Twitter basically blew this up and people were saying, why would we do this? Or, hey, we should do this. And the actual Space Force office was having to deal with that. But I mean, people are trying to, help out and make these concepts and proposals. Anyway, to get back on track, the enlisted grade insignia. So here you can see it in the actual, what it looked like in the blue and silver form. So this part looks like a first sergeant. But yeah, that's basically how he laid this out. So when you go down here, you can see that this is very well put together. So you have your OCPs and what they look like on an OCP patch, right? So we wear our rank insignias currently on our OCPs. Right now, Air Force has its interim rank. So it's the Air Force ranks except in Space Force Blue opposed to Air Force Spice Brown. And I have it right here, as you can see. This is the Space Force Blue, and then around it, it has this silver stitching. And I like how he did this concept here because he actually applies that in these ranks as well. So you'd be utilizing the same Space Force Blue, and then you'll have your silver stitching around it. The thing that I really like about this compared to other rank concepts that have kind of been thrown out in the past is that these are pretty distinctive. And we're going to keep on going into that, but you go down here, he made these concepts without the silver lining. I think since we're already utilizing that silver lining for our interim ranks for the Space Force, we should just continue to use that for something like this if we decided to really come out with a rank that pops out for Space Force. And this little thing that he did down here, he compares it to the other branch ranks. And I think it's kind of cool to see this in along with the joint branches. So, of course, the Space Force, these concepts, they look pretty different compared to the other branches. The Navy, the Army, are the Marines, the Army, and the Air Force. But what I like about it is it kind of makes its own heritage, right? We're building our own Air Force brand or our own Space Force brand, but we still take some of the components from the other branch ranks. So you see when we get here from E6 to E7, you get your upper chevron up here, kind of like how Air Force does it. But what I like is that when you get to E8, you get this star up here, and that's taking the heritage from the Navy and the Coast Guard, because that's what they start doing. And you notice when you get to E9, you get these 2 stars up here. So for the E9, you get your 2 stars, just like Navy and Coast Guard, and it still has that somewhat similar look to the Air Force, right? And then when you get to your Chief Master Sergeant of the Space Force, he has 3 stars, and that's pretty similar to what they have for their E9 of the Navy. I'm not sure what the official duty title is of the E9 of the Navy. So, but you can see that it's pretty similar, and it's pretty distinctive with the 3 stars. You look back here on your OCPs, it's pretty distinctive as well, and that's what they were looking for on here. And this is basically how this design was put together. He has the delta derived from regular 5-point star. You can see that the 5-point star is right here, and then you have the delta within that. Basic chevron, 72 degrees. Junior enlisted bars derived from the spacing of 3 deltas. I think it's really cool how he came up with this stuff, because that's what they want to see. They want to see, why are we making this rank? Where's the heritage for the Space Force? And this guy's already kind of putting all of that out there. And this really, honestly, just like looks like a pretty clean rank. So I'm hoping that we go with something like this. Now, a lot of people are saying, since the Space Force has been playing it pretty safe, they're expecting to see something like this. they have Thanos out here. So this guy said, "I cracked the code, guys. No other option makes sense given their criteria and reasoning. Perfectly balanced, as all things should be." And here you have like a pretty basic Space Force staff sergeant, or excuse me, now it's just sergeant, but these are all E5s across the board. You have your Space Force, Air Force, Army, Marines, Navy, and Coast Guard. So you can see Navy and Coast Guard, and they basically are the same. The sergeant in the Army and the Marines is basically the same, and then Air Force and Space Force. So people are thinking, basically, if the Space Force continues to go along the route that they've been doing everything and releasing everything, that it's going to be some kind of rank like that. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I am curious as to what you guys think of this. Should the Space Force continue to play it safe and use a more Army or Air Force heritage rank, or should we really explore ranks that are a little different and more unique to the Space Force? Leave it in the comments below, and as always, stay safe, keep grinding, and y'all take it easy.